coming up with the next fight on our main card, we have Amanda Ribas, coming in and fighting the undefeated in the UFC, Luana Pinheiro. 3-0 in the UFC, Pinheiro is coming back and fighting Michelle Waterson Gomez earlier this year, winning by split decision after almost a 2-year hiatus, 15 or 16 months. So not too close to 2 years, I guess. But either way, quite the layoff, though, for her. She's had some different injuries and fight cancellations throughout her career. Was scheduled to face Jessica Penne twice, and both fights ended up getting canceled, and a quick replacement being on the way for her. But Pinheiro, judo background, BJJ purple belt at minimum now, could be even higher now. But you're going to see that judo background on display. It is head throws, and it is violent head throws when she's able to land them. And that's where, if she's going to have success, it'll be in that, because at range, she's got some good power and some good vigor, but she likes to stay super wide, and she likes to dance around the outside. She likes to throw feints, but not really efficient feints where you're getting somebody to jump or to react to a certain movement, whether it be a takedown or a strike. It's more just like raw feints at range that you never think you're going to land in the first place. So interesting to see if she tries to make those a little bit more dangerous moving forward. But I saw that throughout her 3 UFC fights. It was a little bit of a red flag. And now she's going to fight Amanda Ribas, who 6-3 in the UFC. Her big detriment is that 3 of her 4 losses in her career are by knockout. She's gotten cracked multiple times before. And she lost by ground and pound to Macy Barber last time out, which is not a good look for anybody. She's also gotten finished by Marina Rodriguez, which can happen as well. And her other UFC loss was to Caitlin Chukagian, which is the ha-ha queen. So it happens to the best of them. You can lose by decision to Chukagian. A lot do. And it's not even a black eye on your record at this point. It's just a formality. You never really gain any stock going up against Chukagian unless you're one of the best. So, but yeah, so back to where we want to be. Ribas is, despite her chin, about as well-rounded a fighter, sort of like Charles Johnson, in the sense that she's good everywhere but not elite anywhere. And so she can struggle against some of those specialists. It'll be interesting. Before the Viviane Araujo fight, if I can pronounce her name right, I was pretty high on her to win that fight, despite the power that Araujo had, because she does a decent job of being able to circle, keep her distance, keep herself safe. And so I like her in the same sense in this fight. As long as she can stay away from some of those head throws, those judo throws, and get to the ground, where Pinheiro loves to throw her disgusting ground and pound, I think that she could dance her way to a decision win in this fight, and I think the odds sort of reflect that. But Andy, would love to get your thoughts on this fight with Pinheiro coming back to the UFC and trying to stake her claim and make a run towards the top.
Yeah, so this is where the start of my run of dogs is going to take place. I like her power to the takedown. I also feel like she is a great textbook judo fighter that you touched on. She hasn't looked as great striking as people would have liked, where, I mean, that was her MO. That was her thing heading into the UFC, was like how good her striking is. And then in her three fights in the UFC, it just hasn't like looked as amazing as you would want it to. But I mean, she has beat the cardio queen, Sam Hughes, a win against Michelle Waterson Gomez. I always think that's like a fine looking win on the resume. And then you look at Ribas, and for me, I have a little concern for her because she's making the move down to straw weight for this one. And she now has what I would consider to be kind of a suspect chin. You look at her, I mean, she had a great run to start her UFC career, but is now 2-3 her last 5 in, with a loss to Macy Barber and ground and pound, which Macy Barber, stud. Chuk, like you talked about, and then another loss by punches to Marina Rodriguez. There's just so many instances here where she hasn't done so hot against strikers. And I feel like in an odds matchup against two girls who had that judo base, judo was where they started and they expanded their games to MMA, I really like Luana here at plus 210 as the hot young prospect, at plus 210 for half a unit on DraftKings. So that's the way I'm going to be going. There's a lot of these on this card where I looked at the odds and I was like, it's really here. This is really how it is. Like, I don't know if it's just the book put these lines up too early and everyone just started slamming the favorites because they didn't know what to do, or if it's truly I missed the message on a lot of these and it's going to be a big favorite tonight. But I do really feel strongly about the dogs this week, and Luana gets us kicked off because This is just one of those. I feel like the odds should be a little bit closer for the current form of Ribas and for how we have not seen Luana's form necessarily reflect all of her skill set that she came into the UFC with. What do you have?
Gotcha. I'm going the other way. I've got Ribas here. I think this is a big step up for Luana Pinheiro, who, to your point, like I'll take the other side of that point where you said, hey, like it hasn't all come together yet in the UFC. You expect it to, especially with that long layoff. I think this is a big step up and a lot for her to have to figure out in a one-fight change. I don't think by any means that her career is going to be short, but I think that Ribas is able to work on the outside, keep herself safe, and win this fight. And so I've got her as the other leg to that Medic parlay from last fight. And so combining those two is plus 103. I'll rip a full unit on that. But to keep myself safe a little bit, I think that if she does lose, it's going to be by knockout again. I think that she should be able to outpoint her. And so I'm going to take Pinheiro also by knockout or TKO at plus 450 and put a quarter unit on that to sort of save myself sort of at somewhat of a hedge against my bet. But so should end up netting 0.75 units there. If not, almost a wash. So happy with that. Again, to summarize, I've got Ribas and Medic combined for plus 103 for a full unit, but taking Pinheiro by knockout or TKO at plus 450 for a quarter unit. Andy, you've got Pinheiro at what odds?
Plus 210 on the money line on DraftKings, and I'm doing that for a half unit. So Rick and I, opposite sides here. We will be heading into the next card, which is a lot more lopsided than this one. It is Peyton Talbot taking on Nick Aguirre. Stay locked in with us, and we will see you on the other side.